Why? It's 6:59 server time. They're about to start like any second now.
Whoop whoop.
Look at them. All these are competitors in the Valley of Trials. They're all starting ready to go. We'll switch over to the 4-man or the the big mode. All right. Okay.
Oh, he's also going priest.
All right. We are in big mode, whatever you want to call it. 30 seconds.
I have 0 practice on priest, so this is
Big mode.
Big mode.
Big mode.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ever eloquent Cargo's gaming.
Big mode.
Let's go.
Oh God, man.
Okay, so you have 8 hours. I think I want to get 20 at least.
He's gonna try to get
Is
20 on
anyone
a
playing
priest.
mage this time around? Is anyone playing mage?
Frostlight might be. He tried the last 2 times. He died both times at like 17, I think. He's rank 14, big brain, zoomer.
Is he rank? Did he finish ranking?
He did. He finished ranking of 14.
Very
One of the
nice,
first
very nice.
Gen 1 ranker.
He was not Gen 1.
Yeah, he was. Wasn't he?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
No, he lost. I was on his server. He lost. He's like Gen 1 point something, but he's not.
He's
he wasn't
He's
in the honest
Gen
to
Z.
God first week.
Now he's Gen Z.
Yeah, he wasn't in the honest God like first, first wave of people. He was in. I think he was like a week after or something like that, because he didn't get bracket 1 every week, in the weeks where he needed them.
Okay.
Yo, I'm gonna try and I know everybody else can't see this, but I'm gonna try and start dropping some of the links over here in this the sheet that we have working. That way, hopefully, it'll make it a little easier for you all to switch around.
All right, we're off to the races, guys. So we have a level 1 priest. Priest, I just want to point out, they are kind of slow 1 to 10, and it's mainly because they have this huge stretch of levels from like what is it, from 4 to 8 or something like that, where they don't get another rank of pain, and they don't get mind blast or something until 10, and they kind of struggle through some of these early levels. But in the super early levels, like 1 to 4, they have the strongest early game spell. Smite has no travel time to it, just instantly connects, does massive damage. So he's gonna soar.
Low mana cost compared to mage as well.
Yep. He's pretty much gonna get the first Sarkoth right here of the competition, 100%. There's no one even close to him right now, and Smite is just the best tool for this right now, because there's no druid here who can moonfire it. Like, Smite has the best shot at getting a Sarkoth on a fresh server. So hardcore community cup 3 server first Sarkoth, man. Epic.
And I think it
gamer
remind me
moment.
of this. Like, there's like a lesser chance to resist in mobs that are like 1 to 5, if I'm not mistaken. Like there's like some weird mechanic. It might be that that's a melee thing, but like there's some weird mechanics in terms of like low level mobs when it comes to resist and hit tables. If I'm not
That doesn't sound wrong. That doesn't sound wrong at all. But the other thing, that's another thing too, right? Like, Holy doesn't have a. Is that an elemental fire? Or is that a Holy based attack?
Level 2.
That'd be the thing too, because Holy doesn't have like the resistance tree resistance available to it.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that's another thing too. Like, just considering those types of things while you're leveling.
Smite
Like, what?
Priest actually might kind of pipe. I don't know. Is that
Maybe no
is that how
no.
you level Priest? I actually don't. I don't know if anyone's ever bothered to theory craft the fuck out of Priest just because of
I guarantee you
its
Tactics
nature.
has. I guarantee you Tactics has. This dude goes so hard with the leveling. I'm actually really excited to see what he does with it. To put Priest in a big brain speed leveler's hands to see what they can do.
Priest is not the fastest to 20. It's the slowest.
So looking at him right now, he has
I have.
he has his auto shot timer on a Priest. He didn't take that off. That's funny. Right above the swing
No, that's
timers.
for one though. Yeah, it works for one.
Does
so.
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So as soon as he gets up there, is he gonna go for the enchanting? Is that the way to go for Priest? You go for the enchanting route early on, and just farm the linen, or what's the play? I'm not familiar with the.
We'll have to see. I mean,
Priest meta, you're
all
gonna
you
have to
really
remove
need
the
is
speed.
cloth to craft a wand. It takes a little
Yeah,
bit of
exactly.
time, unfortunately, but.
That was another thing I too I had a debate about was like, again, how much does that play into like the warlocks or in caster leveling? If they're spending the time to do these, to get the wand, like, I know the wand is big, but we even saw a contender. One of the dudes we were kind of like goofing at a little bit. Late game last time, I think it was last cup. It was he's sitting there at the end, straight up like life draining, tanking the mobs. You're like, why is he not wanding it? Because he's like, I didn't get a wand.
You didn't get a wand, yeah.
You remember that? And like, he did really well. So, just looking at some of the possible outcomes based on based on is it worth the time? And I think if you end up in a bad way where you're spending too much time working on professions, it's just bad. I think it's just bad.
I think it's bad.
And again, like it's just something you gotta assess for what class you're playing and try to determine if it's worth for you in your class or your leveling route or what you're doing to spend the time on those professions. I don't know that. I don't think it is for the press competition like this. That's just my personal
Depends on the
opinion.
caster though. I think for priest, so much of priest damage and efficiency comes from that. So
You get the 25%
really-
wand damage, right? Which is like the huge.
exactly.
Mhm.
Which is just so massive. Like I really doubt that you'd want to go without it. Plus the early wands are really.
One thing you can
really
do
easy
too,
to get.
if you are able to pump fast enough through the early levels, you can buy the first vendor wand. That's what Aladar did last time. He just totally decided to opt out of crafting his own wand, and he just bought the first vendor wand called Scorched Wand or something. I think it's a white wand. You can use it at like 16 or 15 or something like that. So he might go with that
and
as
then
well.
there are the early wand quests, right? Like it's early as early as Dark Shore for Alliance, and it's fairly early on. It's like first loop Dark Shore.
Horde, there's not much on the Horde side though.
Yeah,
for,
Horde you have to wait till it's like
Ishiawa
what,
quest, yeah.
second loop Barons.
Yeah, it's second loop barons.
wanna
You
say,
have to
which
kill
is-
the sea manatee or something in the water, and after doing that long ass chain, and you get the
Yeah, and it's so late that there's also I believe the goblin. There's like the goblin escort gives you one as well, but that's such a bitch to do. I really wouldn't want to do that in a hardcore challenge. At all. Like that escort is just so fishy, especially at the levels where that one is effective. I'd imagine that for Horde you probably wouldn't want to go for the purchased one. That being said, like if I were rolling Undead, I don't know, Undead just has such good access to linen cloth early on. Like you might have enough linen to do it by like 10, even if you're not trying to. Like so long as you have the bag space to get by.
Absolutely.
How does bag space come into this though? Like do people like make bags or they
You
buy
just have to
bags,
buy
or
it,
just,
man.
like-
You have to buy it. It's the only way. No auction house or anything, right? So you're just gonna have to buy some 6 slots, maybe an 8 slot, but it's stretching it, right? 25 silver. So one thing you're gonna see though, North, is
Yeah.
because after the competition it's all over, you have to really kind of aggressively spend your money in this competition, right? Buy as much moon juice as possible, ice cold milk, whatever, because that money's gonna do nothing for you once it hits the 8 hours is done, right? So at the last competition, we saw everybody with like 60 moonberry juice in their bag towards the end of the competition because they were just
To unload.
pumping the moonberry after every pull, spending as aggressively as possible. We see Quissy here though, off to a good start on the paladin. You love to see it that she's back and giving it another shot. She did really well. She didn't die in her first hardcore cup last month.
I think she got 16 last time, but she also last time took the time to do all the professions as well because she was doing alchemy and stuff and had this collection of potions and those type things. I think the biggest thing though is maybe a correction on that, whether to just not push as hard on the professions or to just do a little bit better with weapon progression. Having weapon progression as a melee is just huge. It's unbelievably huge. Knowing where to get those vendor weapons and not hesitating to get them when they're there is going to be the game changer for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Checking in with the one of the crowd favorites here. You know him, you love him. The Prince of Mulgore.
You love to see it.
I love Mulgore as a starter. Can I gush over Mulgore? for a
Go
moment?
gush
What a-
over Mulgore,
What a
North.
beautiful, well-made, like efficient zone. Like it carries the fuck out of so much in Torrent, and it's so nice. Like regardless of its efficiency, I don't know if it ranks that
It's
high.
pretty efficient, especially on a real fresh, man, because it's not congested. I mean, on a real
people
fresh,
are
it's
there.
amazing.
Exactly.
Less people are there.
That's my thoughts about it. Right, there's so few Torrent players usually that it is right, like relative to everything else. It's not crowded like Turrets are, or or Tears Fall. So it feels pretty good, and I love the zone. I personally, it's one of my favorite starters.
I actually think Mulgore is pretty
obviously
efficient.
I'm a big Dun Moreau fan because I'm obviously like I'm known left, right, and center, but Mulgore comes in at a close second.
Really? Second place, yeah. I mean, like I said before on stream many times, Mulgore was the very first zone I ever jumped into. Very first character ever was a Tauren Warrior on the normal realm, Illyria, and I just jumped in here, and it was during the winter time, and I saw some players around me making the gingerbread cookies, collecting eggs, and I'm like, dude, what is this world that I'm playing right now? And I just, again, that's where my life pretty much wrapped up right there, 2004. Yeah, I mean, Grays for days. No stranger to Mulgore, as we like to tease him about it, but he is Died many times in Mulgore.
Mulgore is a dangerous
Hundreds
zone,
of
though.
times,
That is
maybe.
true. Mulgore is a dangerous zone.
It is, especially for Grace for Days, because people like to call him Blaze for Days because he likes to pull. He likes to pull very, aggressively. I have to say, streaming and doing hardcore is kind of a recipe for disaster, though. Like if you're streaming and talking to chat, I don't know if you feel the same way, Doc. And at least for me, sometimes I'll be talking with chat about something spicy, and that's the time where you're gonna get your ass killed, man.
There is times where I'm doing that and I'm looking over and I hear that boop, like the low health, and I'm like, what the? And like, I'm jumping back over trying to figure out what it is. I'm like, hold on, don't, I can't read, I gotta focus.
Yep. So yeah, I've definitely seen a couple Grays runs where he's died to these starting area Cougars, so it's good to see him still hanging in there. So look at him pulling 2 at a time, bro. Just Blaze for Days. Half health, pulling 2 Cougars. Last competition.
Oh, the resist. He's gonna get low here from this actually. He's got the heal. He's got mana for the heal actually.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine.
He'll be fine. These things die in like 2 minutes.
So I want to pull up this.
You got me. I can't actually see his. I couldn't actually see his health because you're coming over it. So I'm sitting here like hyping myself up. I'm like, oh shit. Let's go.
Let me show you his arch nemesis. So the I think the real nail biter was let me see what's his Twitch again? It's Classic Voy.
You should probably move the timer somewhere just so it doesn't cover the nameplates on the default UI.
That's a good idea. Oh my god, another ad, dude. I'm running all kinds of ad blocks right now. Can I run multiple? I'm just gonna run 3 ad block extensions. I'm running 2 at the same time.
Cargo's trying to dodge every ad in existence.
We're doing an event here, man. Come on now. But yeah, this enjoy this lovely Omen ad for a second. I actually bought an Omen. Yeah, because I was sick of of me always breaking my freaking computers. I always built computers. But anyway, so here's Classic Voy. This was the real nail biter matchup last competition because all the hunters died. So Zarant had a really big lead, which is another huge brain hunter who hopefully is playing in this competition. We'll check in a second. But the real nail biter came down to the Druid class lead because North, you actually get a prize if you're first for your class as well. So it's not just the top 3 overall. There's an incentive to do well on your respective classes. And it really came down to the wire between Grace for Days and Classic Voy last time. So as you can see, this is a Night Elf Druid versus a Tauren Druid. So you have that like kind of faction rivalry there. And check out this. Oh, move the timer. Yeah, good call. Check this out though. Check out this graphic. It's kind of funny. Someone made this. I don't know if Grace made it or whatever, but it reminds me of the.
Dude, he's got the good graphic. You see his little like badge for hardcore as well. Like, it's legit.
Reminds me of one of those
neat
fight
what
nights.
some people have done with that.
Yeah, the Pacquiao Mayweather, Grace for Days versus Classic Voice. So we'll be checking in with them
I'm so
throughout
sad
the day.
about though. I'm so sad. I was really looking forward to having you guys on. Just as like a tangent, I was really looking forward to you guys being on Grobulus, transferring over. I'm really sad that fell through in the 11th hour.
Did it? I don't even know if it did.
Grob is sealed off from the outside. You can't transfer.
Oh.
It's the only server of its population that doesn't have layering right now because it's an RP server and they can't layer it.
Bro, I'm out of the loop. Layering is back for sure?
Yeah, layering's back.
Yeah, certain servers, yeah.
Layering came back on all the Hypop servers.
Hold up. Is this true? Confirm chat? Layering is back?
Because all the queues they're getting because everybody's home with COVID playing, man.
Not with
Going
world
deep.
not with world bosses though, right?
No, with world bosses. There are like several world bosses. Like world bosses spawn in 2 batches a week. Like one on each layer.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's fucked.
Hold up. Isn't that a big deal? How come nobody's reading?
It is a big deal. Because everyone was raging about the queues.
Didn't they say they were never going to do that because of world bosses? They said we're
Yeah,
never
and
going
they
to
did
do
it,
layering.
And that's why the naysayers. I remember being like, guys, let's be reasonable. Of course, they're not going to use it again. They said that they wouldn't. They're not just going to lie.
Yeah, they said they wouldn't.
But but
was
there's
your
no
first
reason to not
mistake.
take them at their word. They said they wouldn't. Like,
I thought there would be bigger of a splash than that. Nobody's even saying anything. You're saying that
No,
the world
no one's
bosses,
complaining.
the world bosses
world
are
bosses
layered.
are 100% layered, and like Grizzly, like I'm in their world boss Discord, right? as you know, an ex-Grizzler, and they have twice the scouts now. People scout on either layer. Like it's the same thing as it was like when I was doing title charm in phase 1, right? Like you have 2 world bosses to scout. When you scout the one layer, you have to then like maintain an alt on the other layer, so that you can make sure that it's going to spawn where you're at.
Nobody's freaking out about this, even in the chat. I guess this is so.
That's what it is.
Man,
But queues were up to 6 hours on these servers, so people just wanted to play, right? Even if it's not like most people don't care about the world bosses, and the turbo needs are going to be on all day regardless. You know, it's a bitch on Grob though. Grob has a queue now, and we have no layers, which is good that we have no layers. But like it's been kind of tough because sometimes, you know, like I like my guild plays later in the day, you know, during peak times, and that's when we raid. So you know, like it's been tough sometimes getting the ZGs together just because the lads sometimes log on a little late.
damn.
So we'll be just like filling pug slots in because of how many like how long the queue. Like the queue was like 2 hours, but the queue's settled down pretty much. It's usually only like 30 minutes now, even at peak times.
I have to say, man, it kind of feels bad, but I do think the trust is sort of severed with Blizzard in some ways because it just almost feels like, but by the way everything panned out, that nothing is off the table with them. Like when they make a commitment to something and they say we're not going to do this or that, you don't really take it that seriously anymore. At least I don't. If they actually are doing,
That just means we're not going to do it for right now. That's what that means. Like we're not doing it in the next 3 days.
Yeah.
Somebody will probably pull it up and prove me wrong.
It's sad seeing the company that Blizzard was, and you know, like having them just erode that trust, you know, ever so slightly, you know, in small steps and in big steps over time, because you know they were the golden boy for so long, and now you have other golden boys that are kind of rising up, and Blizzard look more and more like EA every day.
Yeah.
Right on that sort of spectrum of, you know, you have the hardcore defenders of Blizzard where you don't really have that for EA as much, just because people have grown up on their games, and their games are better. They're a great company at, you know, making games, or at least they used to be. So it is such a sad thing to see. You know, hopefully they can buy back a little bit of that trust with Shadowlands, but it's, you know, they'd have to have, you know, maybe you know, and this is kind of pushing it, but maybe 2 expansions that aren't dog shit in a row, you know, just throwing that out there. Maybe don't have a WAD and a BFA interspersed between teams. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the B team that does expansions just isn't working out, so maybe they should get more people.
Well, people are saying that they didn't expect Corona in 6-hour queues. Isn't that not the issue though? The way I'm understanding it is that it was more of like a snowball effect of the servers being imbalanced, that like a couple servers got massive queues and other servers died, right? So it's Corona's
caused the queue storm though, right? Like
I think the Corona did, yeah.
There's way more people playing, you think?
Yeah, there are way well, like, and playing consistently, right? Playing every single day of the week.
For hours and hours and hours. Like you're like, what are you doing? You're like, I don't know, I'm just gonna log in. You know, play. That's what people do when they got time. When you're a gamer, you play games.
World of Warcraft's a hell of a way to lose yourself in a pandemic. I mean, that's a good way to pass the time.
Yeah, and like people in my guild, like people don't log on in my guild until like fucking like that ass like 8 o'clock at night. And they don't log off until like 6 o'clock in the morning. We like peak our membership in like at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I swear to fucking God, like I just have a bunch of degenerates in my guild. I love it. I love it. But you know, it's weird to see everyone else like behaving the same as like the turbo needs.
The turbo.
Yeah, dude. Seeing that stuff is just kind of crazy too, because like I'm home here, and my missus is like she's like going nuts. Like I don't know what to do. Da 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 blah blah blah. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like I'm fine. Like I could do this forever. Like I'm good. Like I haven't I left the house twice in the last month.
Weird. It's weird for some people though. Some people really aren't like. Some people really can't hang in that kind of environment. Like some people really like it's you know, I joke about it, and like, you know, I say sometimes it's, you know, it's hard to be a NEET, but for some people it legitimately is like a very difficult thing, just playing video games all day long and like keeping yourself like entertained with just, you know, like your access to the internet. Some people find that very challenging. What do you mean, like? Not having that social interaction, not having that outside world, like
it's true.
Whereas, you know, like in an apocalypse situation, my dude, as long as the fucking Blizzard servers aren't going down, like I'm chilling, dude. You know, I'm tight. And when the Blizzard servers go down, you know, Shenna and Krage are gonna fucking, you know, roll up on the scene trying to make a quick buck, even after human society is fucking
some
collapsing.
Vacation time.
yeah. So I mean, realistically, the private servers will rise when, you know, the society collapses. So we're chilling, dude. We're chilling ultimately. Also, cool fun thing. Not super on topic, but there's whispers of a WildStar private server that's, you know, close to getting up and running.
WildStar, huh? Did you
kinda-
play WildStar, dude?
I did. I didn't play it like to max level. I played it with my friends, and then my friends quit. At like I think we were like halfway to max, and but it was such a cool game. Like I feel so bad for all this, and I know we talk about this a lot, Cargos. Whenever you and I are in the same room, we always talk about like MMOs, you know, and just the state of MMOs. But you know, it really sucks. So many MMOs releasing in the years when WoW was, you know, palatable at least. Like retail was palatable to the point where they couldn't succeed.
Oh, like that
Nowadays-
Warhammer one too. That was actually pretty fun.
yeah, Warhammer releasing when WoW was really, you know, sort of in its heyday, right? WildStar and Ion releasing when, like, you know, and these are solid games. These are good games that, you know, if you release them nowadays, even with the same graphics that they have, even with the same systems, they would succeed because there's just so little in the market. So little trust in Blizzard, right? So many people just looking for another game to the point where, you know, we're doing hardcore challenges, which is fun, but, you know, we're creating our own fun out of a game, you know, using it as a template rather than having the content served up for us, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's interesting to think about, though.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah, I leveled the max on WildStar, but then pretty much just I don't actually remember what happened. We leveled the max and then just stopped playing for some reason. But
The raids were like, so the raids were like 40 man, and they were really hardcore. So it's like a lot of people were turned off by, like, and the attunements were really challenging. And I think the reason ultimately why it died, like, to people point out a couple of reasons to me. One, they say the game was marketed pretty poorly, like it wasn't marketed well, which sucks as a reason for it to fail. But the second thing, and I think this is the bigger reason, it didn't appeal to casuals enough, right? It really was like aimed at a hardcore audience, and it had those hardcore audiences, but games survive based on like the middle 50%, I think, always, right? Because you need like those people who are at the top, who are like always striving to do the best and min-max everything, and, you know, be the best of the best of the best of the best, right? They you know, they prey on the economy, and they sometimes exploit the game, and they're pushing things to their limit, and there's sometimes there's a place for that. But when you have too many people doing that, right, and not enough people feeding that economy and feeding the game generally,
Dude,
and,
it
you know,
kills a lot of
casually.
aspects of the game.
Yeah, it murders
That-
it.
that's
And,
like-
well,
that's-
like the hardcore players don't have anyone to kill either, because ultimately, right, you know, you think it'd be nice, like, oh, so you have like 2,000 active like hardcore players in a server, you'd think that'd be a ton of fun, but then you don't have like, there's no cannon fodder, right? And there always
It's
needs to be some-
ruthless. It's ruthless to like the economics. If you don't want to neckbeard yourself into like making thousands of gold, you're screwed. Like like Scarum is pseudo screwed for that. Like our mongoose pots are like 6 to 7 gold right now. You know, our flasks are 200 to 300 gold depending.
And
like
you go on even more
it's-
sweaty servers. You go on like white mage.
it's
servers that are
obnoxious.
going for, you know, 300 gold or something like that. Right,
It's
you know,
not even fun.
flasks it's gross. You know, the game wasn't designed to support as many people playing as sweaty as possible. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's one of those things like you know, you're saying fodder, but you need some middle ground players. You need some more casual players. You need some people that are pumping some of those things into the economy that are going to be there. You know, they need money, but they don't have time to farm. They get a lucky drop, and, you know, you're able to, you know, make a few coin on the auction house, like, you know, whatever stuff like that. Or they're doing different things that are providing an opportunity for the other players to get them and not have to be, like you said, so sweaty.
big true. You guys have been asking about the rules real quick. I just popped them up right here. Here are the broad strokes rules. You have 1 life is the main thing. No auction house or trading, so it's kind of solo self-found gearing rules. And no grouping out in the open world. The interesting thing is you can run dungeons as well, which is a lot of fun. It's a lot of people's favorite aspect of hardcore, being able to run dungeons. We haven't seen that in any tournament before, and I think that's mainly due to not being able to, you know, set that up in time and quick enough. Because I don't know what you guys think about this. If you could do a dungeon really quick and just crank it out, especially on the Horde side with RFC right there in Orgrimmar, it seems 100% worth it. I mean, 100%. If you could just jump in, crank out 4 dungeon quests, right?
Oh yeah, and not only that, if you get lucky and you grab like a weapon and you grab something else early on, you're going to be able to,
I think the
just
issue-
leverage that.
Yeah, I think the issue is just like, you know, when it comes down to the dynamic in the group itself, right? Like, it's one thing if you're grouping with non-hardcore players, but you group with hardcore players, everyone's looking out for number one. So like, some shit goes down, the mage isn't running in frost noving, trying to like polymorph another mob, and, you know, like going in full hand to save the day. He's like, he turns
out.
around, he's like, oh fuck, he's just fucking
Just bounce.
Like, you can't even trust your group mates at that point. So
True.
I feel like that's,
you could also
I feel like that's a
sabotage
big
each other.
part.
You can honestly.
Yeah. Oh my god, you could just pull everything like Nova on top of someone and run the fuck
Yo,
out.
honestly, you really
You'd be
could.
dirty. You'd be dirty to do that.
I would live for
You
that.
would kinda
though.
be a
That'd
legend,
the
though.
funniest thing.
Imagine you guys-
That would be the funniest thing.
All right, guys, we're gonna have a great run. Like, how's everyone doing today? Good afternoon. Like, I'm really excited for this. You get down to the first pack of trogs down there, and then the priest just shadow word pains everything and runs out.
The
That would be
quick
funny.
cheeky fade, dude. You're
Yeah.
sitting there. You're like, oh what?
The warrior starts to pull, and you go
Oh,
and just
man.
tag everything else around it. See ya. And you could probably make it out in time. Whole group wipes. That would be insane. That's probably why people
Let's
don't
not
do it.
encourage. Let's not encourage poor behavior. I think that would be like hilarious, but that would also be awful at the same time.
Oh, I'd be here for it, dude. I'd bet, dude, the drama. I live for the
This was
drama.
kind of the tinfoil hat thing. But maybe we can pull up the clip in a little bit north. Last Hardcore Community Cup, there was this phantom paladin that kept getting people killed. Maybe. No one knew if it was on purpose or not, but pretty much what you can do as a paladin is you pull a bunch of mobs and they leash to you, and then you kind of like wrap around another person and wait for them to be in combat as well. And then if they're in combat and you're kind of wrapped around behind them and you bubble, for some reason those mobs won't just reset, they'll go to that other person.
Yeah, it's really weird the way the threat works in Classic in terms of just like things will leash off even if you're not in combat with it sometimes.
To
If
other
the mob's
players.
close enough, it will just leash on another player. It's
Other
very
players,
bizarre.
man.
And we had some
Hard-
heartbreakers. There were people that were just minding their own business, single target, mage frostbolting, one knoll at a time by Hager. Remember that, Dakin? Like,
Yeah. He just got blap like gang, and he got like jump, man. Like, yo, let's get him. And it's running
Just
over like
10 knolls all around him all of a sudden, and you see this paladin jumping off away, and people were like, the paladin got him killed.
It's definitely on purpose.
Dude, that was rough
Fucking
to watch.
riding off into the night, dude.
Yep. And it happened
Other
again too.
riders.
It happened to Crix. Crix was on the road of Lochmadan. He was literally like kind of AFK looking at his next move. All of a sudden on the road, a bunch of kobolds come out of nowhere and just kill him dead on the road. And the same paladin jumping off with his red linen shirt, like in the distance. People
You know, take my candle, my dude. They're serious about that.
I think Crix's biggest
sold
drawback was not watching that he wasn't out of combat. Like, he ran back to the road and thought he was good, but
Yep.
he didn't watch like to see that he was out of combat.
That's a big true.
Like, that feels bad on that one there. But like, dude, that's something like I've told people as I'm leveling up. I'm like, man, when other players start like coming into the area that I'm in, I'm like, yo, what are they doing? What the F are they doing? Like, they need to get out of here. Like, man, like I'm out. I leave. I'm out. Like, I get away sometimes because, dude,
Narc.
it's like they're gonna get you killed. Either they're gonna screw up the respawns, or they're gonna dump something on you, or they're gonna run by with like 15 mobs. Like, they don't care. They just want to get out of the cave. They run out of the cave and die. They're all right with that. I'm not. All those mobs they died to come back to me. I'm like, I'm out.
Yep.
Which is another huge, like, here's the thing too. Here's a super high value item, man. You guys, if you're leveling and you're trying to get that, that nifty stopwatch, you got to be hawking on those vendors while you're leveling up to get that gyro whatever engineering thing, man. I spent hours looking for that bad boy on Zool and I never got it, and I finally found one on my new dude. And on top of that off, dude, the swiftness recipe, man, the swiftness pod recipe. Oh, it's so money. I got double sprint now.
That is pretty money. That was kind of the blessed run, man. I thought you were gonna make it. No joke. A part of me, I'm not gonna lie, is a little bit low key glad that you got killed though, just because it was gonna seem like it was just a piece of cake. You went in first character, one shot everything, like no problem, like just hardcore challenge, easy clap, like no problem, dude. What is
What's
this
the big
rule?
deal, boys? What's the problem? I did it on my first try. Like, I wanted to say that so bad. I was probably never gonna do another character because I could always die.
All right.
But yeah, I get what you're saying, man. I get it.
Just a little bit. It was a little bit. Like 1% of me was like, he got humbled by the hardcore, man.
0% of me wanted him to get humbled, dude. 10 grand on the line, man.
Oh,
Come
true,
on, dude.
true.
Fucking walking into the
That's
into
true.
the Hive Queen's cave, man. Walking into Hive Queen's cave, 10 grand on the dude. I'm Cargos, man. I would have been grinding bears if that.
Well, the thing is, the day before that, I'd run out of quests that were really good, so I spent like 6 hours grinding undead in Plaguelands to get a whole level, and then I came back and I was like, I'm gonna go hit this quest, and then I'm gonna start Plaguelands quest, and
Ooh,
that was it.
You were in the fucking sweet spot, dude. You were in the fucking. You were in the victory lap, my dude.
Absolutely.
We'll get it this time though.
So let's see. Here's tactics. Again,
Tactics
one of
is
our front
5.
runners. He's got a bunch of water, a bunch of food, That's nice to see. He has a couple different ranks of heal on his bars. Not much to
He's
go
a front
off
runner
right now.
Priest is early level, so that's strong.
Small black pouch though. Small black pouch. Oh man, that's definitely a drop right there. No way you can buy a small black pouch. So on the blessed scale, this is pretty blessed of a run so far. About a 7
Look
out
how
of
many
10.
grades he has too in that small pouch. He's got some weapons as well. He's chilling. No auto vendor.
Wait, I didn't
Oh no,
even
he has
know
no
there was a
he has
priest
no-
quest at this level.
So here's the thing
Shows
though.
how little about
These
priest
levels,
quest, what the fuck?
these levels. Oh yeah, he's talking about the priest quest. Yeah, the priests get a free green, which is pretty cool. Outside of it's pretty much a free quest. You just go talk to a guy and I think you heal him or fort him right outside of Razor Hill, and you get just like a free quest and a green, which is kind of nice. I think it's like a 1 spirit robe or something like that. But here's the levels where priest kind of drags through. And if any priest players are out there, you're probably able to back me up on this.
Ooh, he's got a minor healing pot as well, dude. That's pretty fucking blessed.
That's a
dude.
guaranteed.
Holy shit.
That's a guaranteed, Joe, from one of the quests you get here in the Valley Trials.
Okay. See, I'm not a horde player. I'm not one with the Zug.
Yep. So that's the one guaranteed thing that if you come in contact with like a elite, like or not elite, one of the rare spawn guys that slap pretty hard, like High Warlord Kolkanis or the guy in the Marine Keep. That's kind of your get out of jail free card. You're guaranteed at least one. Now, if you want to go the super safe route, on hardcore, you would pretty much go do Solvent Spirit right now and just knock it out. It's not the most efficient pathing, but you'll get sticky glue from it, and that'll just make you that much safer against everything. Because each one of those things is like a get out of jail free card, and over the course of the next 8 hours, if you wanted to use it early so you could play more aggressively, that might be a line to explore. So we'll see what he wants to do here. If he's going to go to Senju now and pick up the quest, or if he's going to go there later.
Having those get out of jail free cards is a huge deal. I mean, they just being able to get away from like a minor miscalculation or being able to get away from like a respawn or an unpleasant circumstance is just game changing, and especially if your class doesn't have a lot of the ability to escape based upon the class you're playing. So just having those little safety nets are huge, I think.
Doc, when your chat told you not to do the Ungoro quest, why did you ignore it?
No, dude, like I don't know. I don't know if it was that day they said it or not, but like there's sometimes like don't do it, don't do this, or don't do that, and like I don't know. Maybe just
You're just your own man. You're just
like, dude, I didn't like I didn't drag ass the whole way there, dude. I did elite quests, I did hard quests, I did cave quests, I did quests that were higher than me. I did like the whole thing, man. Like I was clicking off buffs from other players. I did no world buffs. Like I was going hard for it, and it just because it's gonna haunt me, man. It's gonna haunt me. Oh, dude. But all in all, still, man, the challenge is great, and I encourage anybody out there from the chat, if you haven't done it, even for like a self personal challenge to go after trying to do a hardcore character, by all means, guys, it is a new next level. It's next level.
It's so good to hear you say that, man, because I know you're a little skeptical to start, as everyone should be, right? You're just like, what is this kind of like, fun mode or whatever you're talking about, you know what I'm saying? But like it's some challenges, like for me, like I was gonna do that Lord of the Rings challenge, that Lord of the Rings challenge, but a part of those types of challenges, like the Lord of the Rings challenge, is like you're kind of not playing the game. You're playing some kind of RP event. Like the cool thing about hardcore is you're basically just playing the game as you normally would and level a character, but you're doing so with finesse, and all the incentives are aligned so that you're able to demonstrate that skill and appreciate that skill. And it ends up being a lot of fun. But it's good to hear you say that, Doc.
Has anyone made it to 60 yet?
Yep, we have
Someone has to.
4 verified 60s now. 4.
Who? Wait, what classes are there? I know there was a priest or two that were there.
2 priests.
Gotta be some mages in there.
No mages.
No mages.
We
the
have
259s.
2
Fucking
priests,
short, dude.
a rogue, a warrior. Yeah, that's it. 2 priests, a rogue, and a warrior.
Imagine a hardcore molten core.
Be insane.
All paladins.
Only
all
way that would ever
paladins.
happen, though, is if Blizzard made an official server for it, because nobody's risking it that much in there. So Aladar's off to a good start, level 5 already on the Warlock, doing great. Just undead Warlock, very classic looking. I like his UI too. Big fat chunky dot tracker right there, above the nameplate, so he can make sure he gets good value from his dots. That's a pretty clean
Big
setup.
Dad gamer UI.
Yep. Aladar is
Holy hell, those are big ass fucking dots.
right.
What the hell?
Those are some...
Definitely a leveling UI, right? Wouldn't want that in raid, but looks nice with the leveling.
Yeah, Dustbone in the chat right now. He actually got level 60 as well. I think on his first try. No, I think he might have died once before on a rogue, but that's on a troll rogue. He seemed to be enjoying it too. So yeah, everybody give it a shot if you haven't already. I think it's the ultimate leveling achievement. It is tough, man. It can be demoralizing too. And I'm not gonna lie, that's been a part of me feeling a little bit of burnout, because you can only die so many times on a hardcore character before it starts to get to you. You're just like, damn, I need a little bit of a break from this, because it's not so. I admire you, for your resilience, Doc, and you just die a heartbreaker like that. You just jump right back into it, same class.
Well, I mean, he's gotta have something to distract himself from looking in the mirror. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can only look at that eyebrowless face so many times before you fucking have to distract yourself.
I just, it's like me though. Like you said, like a lot of things. I think too, like all or nothing. Like my wife always says that. She's like, oh, you're all or nothing. Like when you do something, you're always into it. And I'm like, I started this journey and like kind of was like, I'm just gonna screw around with it or whatever, and then I just got sucked in as I was getting further and further, and now I'm like, I feel like I'm like neglecting other shit I should be doing for like in game to try and get this done. Like when I get the challenge done, like I'll have to take a little break from doing the hardcore stuff, but like I'll definitely come back and do some more, a little slower pace too. But it's fun though. It's exciting. It makes like everything you do matters. Every little piece of gear matters. Every little every encounter where you're like, oh man, like those close calls, like they get you pumping a little bit more,
So true. So we are looking at an absolute legend right here, guys. You know him, you love him. He won the hardcore community cup #2. He is an absolute monstrosity of a hunter. I mean, he is an absolute beast. I can't stress this enough. We're looking at Zerant hardcore. He gave Ampi a run for his money in Hardcore Community Cup 1. It came down to a very slim margin, just a couple percentage points on XP separated them. I believe on the first one, North, they got to level, what was it, back in 27 or something like that? Like
it was. They were killing the wolves.
They were in Duskwood, man. They were Duskwood. I remember he suicided over in the Sven Jorgen farm, which is high 20s. Like they were pumping, man. And Tactics made it high 20s as well. This dude won the last cup, and he's just an absolute beast. He has his own custom guideline. You familiar with Guideline, North? It's like a leveling add-on that you can either use like Ampi's is publicly available, I believe. If you want to get just access to a big brain leveling route, you can go download that. But you can also customize the guideline. And I asked Zerant, I said, are you just using Ampi's one, or you have your own one? He was like, nah, mine is it's his own guideline that he follows. And it was interesting seeing the differences that in play styles between him and Ampi. Like they opted for different pets, slightly different pathing, but just an absolute beast. So it's really great to see him back in the tournament. He's definitely probably going to win this, I would say. Again, he's just getting better and stronger and stronger. It's one thing to just win a tournament one time, right? It's a whole nother beast to win it, or not by win it, it's not die twice in a row. This dude didn't die for 2 competitions in a row, right? Ampi died in the second one because he risked it so hard.
To push the way they do, that is impressive.
And not die.
I mean, to see... Yeah, and not dying and seeing people running, they're running around like you're saying, you're sub 10, sub 20%, like almost no mana, just like blah, 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 pull. Like that's the impressive thing, is it's like maintaining that focus for such an extended period of time without having any kind of ultimate like RNG failures, if you will, where sometimes it's just like, oh, miss, crap, get crit, and then you just have a problem because of it.
I just find it amazing too that like 1 to 10 hunter is some people's nightmare. They think it's the roughest thing ever. Like it's just they think it's once you get through 1 to 10 hunter, it's smooth sailing, right? And it's partially true, but in the right hands, 1 to 10 hunter is actually an amenity. It is truly like an incredible 1 to 10 because you're dealing free high physical damage. You're constantly moving, so you don't need to sit there and stop and cast the corruption or cast the shadow bull like some kind of inferior class. You just are constantly moving and pumping, engaging multiple targets at the same time with free high physical range damage, the best kind of damage. So it's amazing to watch these guys in action, man.
Before Classic launched, Grizzly had I believe 2 leveling competitions sort of in-house on our own private server, and I remember thinking the same thing that a lot of people think, right? Like the Hunter 1 to 10 is weak, and I was like, Mage 1 to 10 is where it's at, boys. Like Mage 1 to 10 is the best, because you know me, I'm a big wizard buff, but. I after the first competition, Amp was just, he was head and shoulders above everyone else, on the 1 to 10 Hunter, which was, it was impressive. And he's the person who changed my mind about that 1 to 10. So
absolutely,
it's nice to see someone who could hold their own with Amp going at it and back your day. Is Amp participating?
Let's see. Let me see if he's on right now. He was in the last 2. Let's see if he's in this one. Going to Oppie. Nope, doesn't look like he's on today. So Zerant is in the clear right now. We'll see who else the other hunters are. I'll take a look at the streams. We'll pop back over to tactics for a second. Another thing I was going to ask you guys, kind of off topic, but I've been dying to get some feedback on this. And, I mean, we're here with the classic people, too, so I'm trying to get some honest feedback right here. What do you guys think? We've been trolling Shadowlands for like months and months. Everyone seems to be, I don't know if they're in Blizzard's back pocket or if it's actually a good game. I don't, like, all of a sudden it feels like the tone has shifted and people are like super hype about retail and wanting to play the alpha and all this.
Here's how much interest I have in that. It's a big fat fucking 0. Like, dude, until they get that shit out and somebody plays it for. You can play it for more than 30 minutes and tell me it's fun. Maybe I'll consider looking at it then. But dude, it's just like I got 0 interest in that, man. There's just nothing there. Like you're basically trying to take. What are you scaling everything down? So what? You're obsoleting all the rest of the content so you can level 1 to 50 in any zone, go to Shadowlands, do 50 to 60. Like, what's the whole point? You're just like everything you've done.
I don't think that's
I
a
don't know.
weak point of it, to be honest.
I think